everybody, it's me, Margaret, and I'm happy to report that 1 week after I announced my goal of Craft from Stash 2020, that I have gotten rid of a grand total of 16 pounds. Now what I did with that was I made a few hats. I'm working on that tutorial for the bead stitch hat. I wanted to see what it would do with a bulky weight yarn. I've tried several different weights. This is, it says it's a number 4, but it's more like a number 3. It's that Red Heart Unforgettable. But I'm just curious about how it would do it. This was a number 5 bulky, and this one was a number 6 bulky. So of course I've actually constructed those, right? But one of the best things about participating in an activity where you get to make your own rules is you do get to choose what you want to do with your stuff, okay? Now, here's the deal. I made these 2 shawls last year. They're crocheted shawls. The name of it is escaping me right this very minute, but this was made from that gorgeous KnitCrate yarn that I loved working with. And then this one was made with a, what was it, a Caron cake? I don't remember. You can see thumbnails of the videos where I talked about them at length, in details, both the pattern and everything. I'll try to remember to link that below. But while I love the way they look, I really like them, I'm just not going to wear them. And I have had them down here in the craft room trying to decide, just trying to decide what to do with them. Do I want to wear it? Do I not want to wear it? Okay, no, I'm not going to wear it. So, by my calculations, they've been hanging out in the craft room, right? So, if it's leaving the craft room, then I get to count it as success. And believe you me, when you're doing something like this, it feels really good to count every little thing, every little ounce. All right, so I am going to count these, even though I didn't make them this year. They have been taking up space in my craft room, and they are going to be donated, and making that decision feels really good. So, phew, done. Now, other things that I've used up are t-shirts. Now, I keep stacks of t-shirts, old t-shirts, that we don't use anymore. It could be that Thomas has either outgrown them or they're just flat out worn out. Now, if you are one of those people who tend to think, oh, just donate that. No, people who need to get things from a thrift store or whatever because they have nothing don't want your trash. And I've already done a long video about this. I have worked often on the other side with the charities. We've had to sort through donations, and you would not believe the junk that people will donate. Let me show you an example. This is a t-shirt that is ancient, okay? Can you see the top of it, how it's just faded? It looks like, I don't know, bleach or something got on it. In the back, you can kind of see things like that. Then the neckline is all faded out. This shirt nobody wants to wear. There are plenty of better shirts that are out there. What's going to happen if I were to donate this is it's going to end up going right in the trash bin, which means it ends up in a landfill. So what I do with old t-shirts is I use them. Sure, you can dust with them. Sure, you can wash the car with them and all those kind of obvious things. But another thing I do is I cut them up into squares and I use them as, well, as you would a paper towel, for example. So cleaning up messes or anything that's really gross, like a cat throws up a hairball, for example. Yuck, right? Anything you're going to throw away. You're going to throw this away anyway, right? If you use it for something first and save a paper towel, per se, you see where I'm going with this? At least you've done something more positive with it. At least that's how I think about it. So you'll cut your paper towel bill by hundreds, depending on how many t-shirts you have. So I've also found another use for it while we move. Uses for old t-shirts. Now I've got these China things right here, and eventually I'm going to get rid of this China. My kids don't want it. Nobody likes fine China anymore. This is what I used to use for Christmas China, believe it or not. And I like to stack it in these things with something in between. I've ran out of these little special things I use, so I'll just put torn up t-shirts. Now, normally what I'll use old t-shirts for that can't be donated is replacement for, say, paper towels, and it cuts down on your paper towel usage. You're going to throw this away. Cotton typically is biodegradable, so just saves down on what you have to buy. But right now, these are going to be used in between my plates as I pack them up, because you don't want them to rattle around while they're being transported. Then when we get where we're going and we unpack these things, we can go back to using these as paper towels or dish rags or whatever disposable type of rag we need. And we haven't chosen our moving company yet. Once you do, they often will provide you with some paper, you know, to wrap all your valuables up, your breakables and things like that. I have saved some from our last move because I knew we were moving again, so that's other things that I kept out of the landfill. We're going to use it again a second time. So, doing my best to save the environment and use my stuff. Now, do you see those wicker baskets up at the top? Those are filled with old sheets, and I use those for all kinds of different things throughout the years. Now, at the end of last school year, Thomas went to a boarding school, some of you know, and he came home with 4 flat twin sheets that were for the extra long twin beds. Of course, we don't have a need for those here, but I save them because they make excellent muslins and you don't have to go out and buy fabric for that. I've used them to make things like flags. We had to make some for a project last year at school, so we used them for that. I cover things with them when I need to, like in the storage unit. We had this big wicker basket thing, so it's covered to keep dust off of it. You know, things like that. I just find them useful. Now they're all rolled up in there as tight as I could get it and stacked into those boxes, which is nice. But I have been using a lot of them since I was sewing a lot, for, you know, clothes sewing a lot over the past year. And just recently when Thomas came home with those sheets, I was like, oh, I'm going to give these away. I don't need any more to save any more sheets. But I didn't. I just couldn't. Well, I just recently made him some temporary duvets. Now, here's the deal. None of my kids like to sleep with a regular fitted sheet, regular sheet, blanket, pillows. They never started out that way. I always tried to get them to sleep that way when they were toddlers or whatever. They didn't like it. They'd rip all the sheets off and do whatever. Well, Tyler and Maggie have eventually learned to sleep like grown-up people, okay? But Thomas still loves, to this day, to take his 3 comforters. Yes, 3 comforters, and he doesn't necessarily like pillows. And he sleeps with those. Well, of course, every time we have to wash his bedding, it takes 3 loads to wash those comforters. And so I'm like, son, we have got to come up with something else. We need to move into growing up sleeping slowly but surely. So in order to compromise, I made him some temporary duvets so that we could just take off those sheets and wash those once a week instead of going through the entire process of the comforter stuff. It never gets dry on time, and you know how that is. So when we get to the new house, we will pick out new bedding and all that because our decor is going to completely change in the new house. So this is serving as his temporary duvets, and that was 4 sheets, which was a total of roughly 4 pounds. So there you go. Now, if you saw my last video, you'll remember that I was out shopping and I saw this package of pom-poms, and I was like, why would anybody just want to buy a random package of pom-poms? Well, luckily it was pointed out to me that they looked, since it said 1 item in there, that it looked like it was possibly a garland already made. And I went back and looked carefully at that label, and it did call itself a banner. I thought that was the name brand, but it's not. It's a banner. And then it showed this tiny faint picture of what appeared to be a garland. And then of course many of you had said these Pinteresty ideas that never occurred to me in the first place. I've seen them all a million times on Pinterest, but things like garlands. But I have to say that the best ideas came from Cynthia, I Am She. The pom-poms can be attached to amigurumi bunnies, or they can be monster's eyes, or attached to hair ties, or strapped to the remote so it can easily be seen, or used as cat toys, or be wet and tossed at passers-by. The real question is, why are there only 6 in a bag? Now, I've been watching Cynthia for years, and I think she's hysterical. She does kind of, well, like I do, which is just talk about whatever comes into your mind, but she does it with greater humor, and I find her incredibly entertaining. So it didn't surprise me in the least that she had the most entertaining comment. But I do want to point out that 1,000,000 of y'all suggested making rugs with the pom-poms. Each of those pom-poms was about this big, and I mean, how many packages of those poms would you have to buy in order to make a rug? So yeah, that was a good suggestion, but my goodness gracious, I think anyone who is not going to make their own poms for that and would go out to buy them, phew, that would be a case of those poms to make one regular size rug, I would think, huh? What would a regular size rug be? 3 feet by 2 feet maybe? I'm thinking bathroom rug size. I don't know. But it was a good suggestion, and it wasn't just sticking on a hat like I told you not to say. So good job. Now, do you know what this is? It's this foam board like this. Now, this one happens to be a smaller version, and it folds. I use these for taking pictures or videos or tutorials underneath, or anyway, for lots of things. But you can buy the big sheets, poster board size, at the Dollar Tree. And here we are still in January, and I know a lot of people are still working on their organization, whether it be for their craft room or their whole house. And I ran across some people who use this Dollar Tree foam board in the most ingenious ways for organization. Now, this is not a new or novel concept, it's just that I've only recently discovered it. And that is that they're using it to make custom drawer dividers. Actually building little units. I saw this one person cut out circles, and they put their paints. They used a lot of paint, and so it's like a big board like this with circles, and each of the paints were put in so that you could see the bottom of it and know the color that you wanted and just pull it out. It was really, really ingenious. I am going to link below for you the person where I first saw this. She was actually reorganizing a brand new sewing room. And of course, as crafters, we tend to need unique size compartments, you know, in order to store things. And so I just want you to see what she did. I don't know who she is. I don't watch her channel because she's a quilter. I don't quilt, but I just ran across this, and I thought that I would share it with you. And furthermore, if you want to look at some of the other ideas out there, just search foam board organization up in the YouTube search bar, and you'll get all kinds of wonderful examples of what you can do with this stuff. It's brilliant. And the best part is you don't need any tools per se, like hammers and nails. It's put together with box cutters and hot glue. So it's awesome. And I'm planning to use some of this too when I get settled in my new house. Great ideas. Now, I have been remiss in showing you our KnitCrates lately, but there have been some great ones. It's called Vitalana, and this is the colorway Mistletoe. Lofty DK is what it's called. It's 48% merino wool, 20% baby alpaca, 32% organic cotton DK weight. And the little extra is a KnitCrate logo pin. This one's a little different. It's just black and white. And as with every KnitCrate, you get the pattern book. This was for December. And these were the options for the membership yarn, which I got this green one. There's firewood and mittens. And these are the patterns that come with it. You have some crochet socks, you have some knit socks, you have these knitted leg warmer things, fishnet somethings, and this wild berry scarf. And here is a theme peek for January. Ooh. The colorway is Ancient Ruin. It's 100% fine Peruvian Highland wool, and it's a sport weight. And here are the patterns. That's the knit. You've got some crochet socks and some knit socks. And you have this bundling, blanket, and bonnet set from October. Yuru yarn, I think that's how you say that. The colorway is Beauty Berry. It's 85% merino wool, 15% silk. It's a DK weight. And here's the little extra that came with it. It's the KnitCrate logo, but it has sort of a, they call it a rainbow logo pin. Can you see the colors that show in it? For the patterns in this one, you have this lakefront tunic in crochet, and you have some crochet socks, some knit socks, and you have this beanie, and then a digital bonus, which is not in this book, but they give you a link. So that is September's KnitCrate. This is a Knitology yarn. The colorway is Betta, B-E-T-T-A, and it's 40% superwash merino, 30% silk, 30% alpaca, and this is a worsted weight. And if you want to see how it compares to that other purple, it's like that. Plus, this is a worsted and this is a DK. And the patterns in this booklet are this pretty crocheted cowl. You've got your knit and crochet socks. You have this hat, and you have these mitts, figureless mitts. And this one happens to be November. And its little extra that came with it is a collection of teas. You have fruit-flavored teas. Thomas and I are about to try these delicious looking teas that I got in a KnitCrate as a little extra. So we'll let you know how they taste. This is the brand. Okay, this is just downright delicious. It's called Ahmad Tea of London, and it is absolutely delicious. It's fruity, but only slightly fruity. I had the strawberry, and Thomas had the mango, so I guess we're going to fight over who gets the peach and passion fruit. Now, in the past, I pretty much split my KnitCrates 50-50 with my viewers. I keep half, and then I give half away. However, I am hesitant to continue doing that at this time. And all has to do with COPPA, the Child Online Privacy Protection Act. Some of you, I'm sure, have seen other YouTubers talking about this, but it has to do with the Federal Trade Commission bringing the hammer down on YouTube for, it's very complicated and I don't want to get into it. The information is out there for everyone to learn and read and judge for themselves. At the very beginning, I thought my entire channel was going to be considered made for kids because I use a cartoon sheep for my logo, and I do things like minions and puppets and doll clothes and stuff like that. And it's now calmed down. It's becoming a little bit more reasonable. The FTC just flat didn't understand that adults like animations, and it doesn't have to be considered just for children just because it's animated, or crafting and all this. Okay, long drawn out thing. Anyway, the bottom line, the whole reason for the Child Online Privacy Protection Act was because they're trying to keep children from having their private information taken, okay, by online people, right? So I need to be very sure and very careful how I handle anything where I may be taking information, private information, from one of my viewers. So when I say you need to be an adult and in order to participate in a giveaway, I have no way of proving that the person that I'm speaking to is actually an adult. So until I need to learn more about it, and I just don't feel comfortable doing it, because if you are caught in violation of any of the COPPA Act, you could be fined up to $42,000 per video. They're being very serious about this. So I'm not going to say I'm never going to do another giveaway, because I enjoyed doing that. I would not be receiving my KnitCrates if it wasn't for my audience. But right now, I'm afraid to. Okay, I don't want to collect any personal information from anyone just yet. So let's wait until things clear up a little bit more, and we'll see what happens. But that's not to stop you from digging in and trying a KnitCrate. I mean, they do a really good job of giving discounts or whatever right off the bat. You can get 20% off your first box. Use a code. You don't have to use my code. My code is sheep20, but if you have someone that's your favorite YouTuber that you watch all the time, use theirs. So you get 20% off your first box. And then once you're a member, they're always doing these big sales. So you get this, maybe this exact same thing that you want a month later could go 50% off, you know? So it's pretty impressive company. I really, really like it. But you know what? This brings me back to Craft from Stash 2020. That was part of Erin's initial guidelines. If you had a subscription box or a subscription service of any kind where you get craft supplies or whatever, you didn't have to cancel it. That was something that you had committed to that you really enjoyed, and it was something for yourself, or it could have been a gift. So these don't count toward Craft Your Stash 2020. But here's the deal. If I know I'm going to get 2 skeins from KnitCrate, then I need to be using up at least 4 skeins of something else, right? So that I can keep my stash shrinking and not growing. At least that's my goal. That's all I've got to talk about this week. I'm going to leave you with some pictures of Cozy. I tried to show you last week how she loves those dolls, and each of these pictures was taken on a different day. She just loves the dolls. So I'll talk with you soon. Bye.